real honeybee with the black and yellow.
And that's your nickname, right?
It is.
You're a honeybee. So it's fitting. It
It's
only
very
makes
good.
sense. It
It's
only
good.
makes sense. I
The
think we
honeybee.
live. Let me check
Hey
this
y'all.
and see if we are live here. Don't let me open up the book.
The book of the face.
Hmm?
I said the book of the face.
The book of the faces. The book of the
That book
faces.
of the face.
Let's go on and open that up. So yes, we are officially
Hey
liggity liggity
y'all.
live. So we are just gonna give people a minute to hop
Presence
in
and
the
accounting
game.
as well.
Yes, because I've been hella inconsistent as of late. So, people may not be aware of when we actually gonna be on versus when we're not. So I'm gonna clarify that in a second that we'll be moving to bi-weekly episodes. And so, hey Monique, welcome. Thank you
Hey
for
y'all.
joining us. Hi, hi, hi. I'm so happy that you could be with us for this important conversation. I'm really hoping that we also have some men, if they can't watch this now, that they can come back and watch it later, because I feel like this is a conversation that needs to be not only had, but understood. And I feel like um, women just need men to understand this, need our community especially to understand this. And maybe we can start really having some empathy for one another. So, fellas, don't feel like this is going to be a bash you session. It's not. It's not about bashing anyone. It's about really having the conversation and diving deep on when you hear Black women say they don't feel protected, they don't feel loved, they don't feel safeguarded, they don't feel safe with their own. I need you to hear me and not and understand why this is such a huge thing and why it's important that we start really listening, actively listening at that, not just
Yeah.
listening to respond or to tear down or to negate, but actively listening so that we can get back on one accord and we can actually start like working together. Because right now we are like, I hear so many conversations about Black women just not like they done with Black men. They don't care, they don't want to be bothered. You have more Black women opting out of marriage than you have Black women opting into marriage. And so there's this narrative that Black women are just unmarriageable and that they're not being asked to be married. But if you really talk to a lot of the masses of Black women, they like, I don't want to be married anyway. Like most of them just don't want to be married, don't want to have anything to do with the Black men in the community. They don't feel safe. They have this deep rooted trauma because the trauma of unsafety is long stemming. It isn't just recent years. It's been happening
Right.
since slavery, of when that feeling started to be cultivated within Black women, where they started to feel unprotected. And it wasn't, by choice at that time, but it didn't mean that we weren't unprotected all the same. So we really need to dive deep into this conversation, and I'm hoping that you all hit us up in the comments. If you hear something where you're like, this resonates with me, or this is how I feel, or you want to expound on something we touch on, make a note in the convo. Like, we really want to hear from you. And then I'm really, really hoping that we have some men join us today. If not today, they go back and hear this later. So please share this video if we can just get you all to just hear us out and listen. And we'll have the opposite side, because I think a lot of Black men don't feel protected either. So we want to talk about that too. So, like I said, not a bash you session.
That's
Only
what this is.
positivity. If you're gonna jump in the comments and be disrespectful, blocked. We're not doing that here. We're gonna have a really real conversation when it comes to why Black women feel unprotected. So before we hop into it, Nat, what are your thoughts on this topic? How do you feel about having this topic today? It's a deep rooted topic. I was kind of like, I've been pushing this conversation off on this scale for some time, only
I
because
mean, we've been touching on it,
we've been
but
touching
like
on it, but we haven't fully like jumped into
dived
it.
into
And that's
it.
because I think a lot of people shut down when you start bringing this up, but it's impossible for us not to talk about this. This is something that I'm very concerned about, raising a daughter, raising a Black son. And I really need for us to get some understanding about when we say this, what it means, how you can be better, how you can help, and what we can do as a community moving forward. So how are you feeling right now about jumping into this conversation?
For me, I think it's really interesting because my stance is I see where my ladies are coming from. I see where my sisters are coming from as Black women. It's been said we are the least protected. Um, I do want to say also that I can see where some of my fellas are coming from when they say, I protect me and mine. But unified as a village, we should all be each other's. I feel the same way when people be like, boy, if that was my child, well, let's act like it is and correct some behavior. You know what I'm saying? Those are all of our children because that one child represents all of us. Just like your child leave your house and represents you in your household, that one child represents all of us. So let's correct some behaviors and spend some extra time. So I feel the same way in relations to women being unprotected. I've even talked to men that unsolicited was like, what's really sad is that Black women isn't protected even when it comes to Black men. In some cases, that's when they're the most vulnerable. And this is coming from a man, unsolicited. That wasn't even what
Not
we were
just most vulnerable. One of the things that's super important that I need to be understood, right, is that who protects me from you?
right.
Because if you're the person that I feel unsafe with, if you're the person that
And you're supposed to be my protector. Who
you're
protects
supposed to
me
be
from
my
you?
protector, right?
It's like who protects us from the police when the police is supposed to be the protectors.
And that's exactly what it feels like for a lot of Black women. And when I have this conversation, I've had this really deep conversation with my older brother, and he is a good dude, has protected me all of my life. When I say that I am an anomaly in the sense of I grew up with tons of male protection. I had an older brother. I had a cousin that he and I were 8 months apart, but you wouldn't know we was that close in age because when he was with us on this planet, he didn't play about me, and he was my protector. Like I knew he had my back no matter what, all the way up through college, all the way into adulthood. I had my father, I had my uncles, I have my brothers from other mothers that I have through my brothers. My brother best friends are my brothers. I've known these men since I was a young girl. I was younger than my daughter when they came into my life. So when I say that I have been nurtured and nestled underneath Black male protection, I have had an abundance amount of that. But I understand from having a mother that didn't have that type of protection, from having other relatives that didn't have that type of protection. When they're saying they don't feel protected, they're not. As a Black woman with all this protection, I have found myself in situations at times where I've been like, oh my gosh, a Black man could be around and nobody's going to come to your rescue, right? Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to say anything. They're just going to kind of put their head down, or where the Black men are the one that's threatening me, that's making me feel a particular way. When you can't walk down the street because they're, catcalling or just saying things. There's been times where I've been out and I've felt unsafe and I've been scared. I had this conversation with my best friend the other day where it was like, hey, I lock my door when any male comes around. Like, I get in the car and I hit the button. That's the first thing I do. And so we need to really understand that when we say we are not protected, we actually are not protected.
And it's also not saying that there isn't some amazing Black men that are awesome protectors, not only for them and theirs, but their village.
Exactly.
But I would like to beg to differ, or to not even beg to differ, because they exist and they're amazing. I would like to say that that doesn't negate the woman's plight of saying that we need protection, because there are so many more that aren't doing anything, that aren't saying anything, which makes you complicit in the foolishness. But then, even on top of that, there's others that are actually doing the harm. And y'all know me. If you're new here, hi, I'm Natalie. But why? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the but why. So I think that's the other part of it. Like, first of all, let's get rid of whatever privilege we may have, whether it's, a privilege like Sante, where she grew up in a household where she had amazing men guarding her. Some people have that type of privilege where they don't even see other women's situations. Grateful that you do, sis. You know what I'm saying? And then there
Mm-hmm.
may be some other people with whatever privileges they have, men with the privilege of not being a woman and not being harassed. You know what I'm saying? Whatever your privilege may be, just like there's white privilege, there's other types of privileges. Let's move all of those out the way and just look at the facts and the stats. They're all leading to the same thing, or just hear what other people are saying. If more than one woman is saying this, if it's a mass majority of women saying this, there has to be some validity to it. So
That's
let's
the
listen.
part that frustrates me, honestly, because
Let's
we're
listen.
not, and when I do have this conversation with other people, even when I was having it with my brother, he's like, that that's not true. Several great men. I said, I'm a drop in the bucket, and so are you all. You are a drop in the ocean. When we're talking about the majority, when we're talking about the entirety of the village, of the community, Black women are not being protected like they should. And what we're talking about with protection, which I want to clarify this really quick, because what I think guys think a lot of times when we say that we're not protected, the first thing they think we mean is, well, if you're being beat up in the street or you're being injured in the street, then I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to ignore that that's happening. And that's only
Some
a
will do that.
small,
Right.
some
Look,
people do that,
keep
but
walking.
that's a very teeny tiny portion of protection. That is not the biggest part of protection. Emotional protection is important, spiritual protection, mental protection,
Come on.
right? Like all of those things are part of protection. You may not hit me with your fist, but if you cut me with your words, it's the same thing. If I have to be degraded, if I have to be made to feel less than, if you weaponize other cultures and other women's ethnicities against me to make me feel
Unappreciated.
invaluable or unworthy
Mm-hmm.
of love and care,
Come
if
on.
I have to be cared for by pretty much being inferior to you. So in order for me to warrant some sort of love, admiration, and protection for some men, I have to be inferior to you. I have to not have a mind. I can't have feelings. I have to be pretty much controlled. And so all of those things are reasons why when women say they aren't protected, they feel that way. And it's not just about you cracking somebody's head if they hurt them physically. It's about how can they talk to you about when something's bothering them?
Right.
Are you respecting them by not calling them out their names? Are you safeguarding their spirituality and their mental health? Are
Are
you
you checking the men in your circle, in your presence, that are not doing those things?
the accountability part is an interesting conversation we'll have on a
That's a
different
whole
show.
topic, right? That's
A
a
whole
whole
different
topic by
topic.
itself.
That's a whole different topic,
But that's
especially
a part
because,
of feeling safe.
yeah,
Like, if you aren't doing it yourself, but you're allowing other people to, then, like I said before, you are a part of the problem. You're complicit in the foolishness. And I think one thing we all have to really understand is that, going back to what I said before, even if you've never experienced it as a woman or as a man, you have to be open minded, right? To take in the information, dissect it, break it down, and if it makes sense, move with it. If it don't, leave it. But hear it for what it is. And once you do that, but why? Now we have to figure out, okay, yes, because I listened with my ears and I thought with my mind, and I see that this is a problem, and the numbers are saying that this is a problem. Now, why is this a problem, and how can we fix it? I think that's where we need to be. But I believe that this is even a conversation or a debate, so to say, not just a conversation, but more of a debate where men get offended is because they're in their feelings and they're coming from an emotional place instead of just understanding and being logical about it. So when a man, this is my opinion, y'all let me know if I'm wrong, hit them comments, okay? Let me know if you think I'm wrong.
I don't know if it's necessarily emotional. I think it's more so pride than
But listen, so
emotion.
I'm gonna break it down. So I remember a while back when we were kind of talking about it on the show. I dropped a post on my page. Now I don't readily just be like, I don't feel protected. Because the type of woman I am, I walk in peace and purpose and alignment and protection wherever I'm at, whoever I'm with. Okay. But there has been times where I didn't feel protected. And I understand and I identify with women that say they don't feel protected.
Mm-hmm.
And if they gotta shout that from the rooftop, doggone it, you better shout, sis. Let me hold the megaphone. You feel me? So I shared it to my page. Let me push your platform. This is a problem. Let's talk about it as Black people. People was in my comments, girl, all underneath the
I
post. Baby,
I honestly saw that
you
post.
got that, baby,
I
all up under, and this was a while ago, all up
saw
underneath
that
the
post
post.
and I literally had to kind of like step back from it because
Girl,
this conversation in itself, I get a very emotional response because in one breath you had people literally proving your point, like with some of the stuff.
literally in the comments. And then the other part was the comments that was directly directed towards me, and I laughed. I laughed because the people, I'm like, you don't know me for real. You see me on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and you think you know me, sir. But they like, I would never expect this from you, from a sister like you, belittling black men. And I say, now I'm belittling black men. If you knew me, you would know I say I love black men daily. What
All the time.
all this? I love y'all. What are you
But
talking
where is
about?
this narrative or this unspoken rule? Because it definitely isn't written
But
somewhere that
that's why
I
I
can't love
say
you and correct you at the same time.
it's
Like,
emotional because I'm gonna correct you because I love you. But that's how little kids feel. When your mama tell you not to do something and you do that thing she told you not to do, and she check your butt or put you in the corner and give you a whooping. Now you like, she don't love me no more.
yep.
Yes, she do. She corrected your behalf, so you gonna go out in the streets to do the same thing and get a bigger butt whooping. You feel me?
Look, because the world don't love you
Like I love you.
like I love you. Ain't that
So
what? Ain't
that's
that
my
the truth
thing.
though?
And so it's also the okay, now she don't like black men because she's supporting someone who's saying that she don't feel protected. That's you being in your feelings. Cause now you think I'm directly coming for you and your manhood and all black men everywhere because I'm saying black women don't feel protected. What bag are you coming from of tricks that you just made that statement up? Because it wasn't what was stated. We love you. We love you enough to say, hey, help me help you help us
How
as a community. We need each
how
other.
about, hey, you hurt me. Ouch. I do you love me enough to hear me when I say, ouch? Like
That
you
part.
are hurting me. Like when you do this, when you say this, when you operate like this, when you say nothing, ouch, it hurts me. Do you love me and care about me enough as your sister? Your mama look like me. Your sisters look like me. Your
Come on.
aunties look like me. Your grandmothers look like me. Do you love me enough to see them in
The
me?
daughters.
Your daughters, like, that when I was thinking about this conversation today, the first thing that came to mind for me is growing up, and I'm sure all of you have heard this. If you did have a male role model in your family, whether it was a brother, an uncle, a father, anyone in your life, they will always say when you started to mature and grow up that I don't want you to blah, 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 because I know what men are thinking. I know how men are going to act. I have to keep you safe from them out there. But then when you grow up into be an adult woman, and you say, I don't feel protected, they'd be like, oh, you bashing men. But you grow up all your life hearing from those men in your life. Men just want this from you, or protect yourself against boys. Don't give yourself like this to this guy. Make a man do this for you. They really pretty much tell you, I'm scared to have a daughter because I know what I did to somebody's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
When men be afraid to have girls, that's why they be
That's
afraid to have
why
girls.
they
Because they
afraid.
know
That's
some of the
why.
behavior that they did to somebody else's daughter. Yet when
Mm-hmm.
you say, I don't feel protected, it's rah, 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 rah. It's like, but you know that shouldn't feel protected because you've been
Cause
trying to
you was
protect me
scared.
from the world all the time. Like you told me this. So, it's confusing, right? It's like you can't one breath say, I have to protect you from this, and then say, but you're bashing me. You're bashing me. Like, this is ingrained in us from little, that we have to be careful around men.
And it's not even a bashing thing. Like
It's
when
not.
I say and agree with women that say they don't feel protected, it's because when you look at it, when you see even like your friends in relationships, men or women, I'm talking to everybody right now. When you
Mhm,
look at
mhm.
situations, you see what's happening. And but a lot of times we don't understand what abuse is, and it's happening and we don't understand it. But a lot of these situations be abuse. It be sometimes financial abuse, it be sometimes emotional abuse, narcissistic behavior, all up and through some situations. Okay,
Gaslighting, all
right,
of
all
that
of
good
these
stuff.
things are happening in the relationships that I'm pretty sure you've witnessed in your lifetime or have been in your lifetime. And that's not protection. And something you said at the beginning, and we're not saying that black men don't need protecting either.
Because they do.
We because black men needs protecting as well, because some of the same behaviors are happening on the woman's part, through the
Absolutely.
men. But what we're saying is overall as a whole, and this is why I think it is for a few different reasons. One, y'all know me again, I'm gonna keep doing it every show, but why, okay? You mentioned slavery.
Mm-hmm. Don't tell it.
You know what I'm saying? And how that has affected us. When we think about it, our black men, because y'all needed protection, were belittled, raped. The women were taken and raped in front of them. The kids were being killed or sold off. All of these things were happening, and you had to stand by and watch it. You were mad, you were upset, right? You learn over the course of years, decades, and so forth from white slave masters what it is to be a husband or a man, because we were
Mhm.
stripped from our culture. So we didn't have our roots of what we do and what it really is. So you're learning from this white slave master how to be a husband, how to be a father, how to be a man. And so carrying on, even after slavery, once we were no longer on the plantation, black men, of course, still had struggles, still had to fight for their life, still had to fear, but still had to fend for their families and everything else. Women, because the world is this way and I gotta fight the world. And this ain't all men, this ain't every family, this ain't every situation.
Mhm.
But because me, black men specifically had to go through everything that they go through, yes, you need protection, yes, you need healing, black men. You came home, and a lot of the times, because you were at the bottom of the totem pole everywhere you went, you wanted to feel like you were at the top of the totem pole somewhere. So
And so
you
you
came
beat your
home
wife.
and you belittled that wife. And again,
Mhm.
this is not every situation, but it happened. It happened. Okay. Not 100%, ain't nothing 100%, but it happened. And so those characteristics continue on, because now those children are seeing their fathers do this to their mothers. And now those sons grow up to be husbands. And now they're acting as their father acts, because that's their example of a man. And it continues thus forth until we get to 2022. Also, mentally, on top of that, we have to look at what we are teaching our children, because decades and centuries later, because when black women have always said they ain't feel protected, and now we still saying we ain't feeling protected. But why? We have to start changing the mentalities of these children, both men and young women, because we need to train our sons. Men, I'm talking to you as fathers, but ladies, I'm talking to you as women, as mothers as well. We have to start training our sons on how to take care of a woman. Not only how to take care of a woman, but in being protected and protecting our black men, how to
Me,
spot The right
I
woman.
gotta
When it
jump
comes to that
in
right woman.
on that, especially because
Uh-huh.
what they have learned for decades and centuries before us, that their role was simply just to provide monetary provision.
And Lord,
But
that ain't even happening no more.
and that is part of the reason why black women also feel unprotected, is because at least in the traditional standpoint, you went and you took care of X, Y, and Z. And I took care of A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
And, somehow the things in the middle, we had other people to kind of help. You had your parents to step in. You had other like parts to kind of help with the things in the middle. But now black women feel like they have to do everything. And then you get in and fit in wherever you feel like you want to get in and fit in at.
And
But
do
most
whatever
of the
you feel like
time,
you want to do.
whatever you feel like you want to do, they feel like
Mm-hmm.
they have to go out, because now the economy that we live in, it's necessary for there to be a two income household. So if you have someone going out putting in just as many hours as you are and providing to the monetary provision, because provision just isn't money, provision is spiritual, mental, emotional, and
Protection.
physical protection. That's provision. Provision is an umbrella. And if we
Mm.
look at provision like an umbrella and think about all the little things that are underneath the umbrella, I think that would help a little bit more too, because it's not just about making the money. You're not the only person bringing home the bacon.
Right.
So what has happened is, because women has had to also integrate into providing financially within the households and family
And
structure.
now being asked what we bring to the table, can that
but
be a little
but not but their other responsibilities and duties haven't gotten less either. So
exactly
it's like, you still want me to help, so now I have to help with the money, raise the kids, cook, keep the house, do the shopping, do this, take care of that, do, and we're just running around in this hamster wheel all the time. And so provision and protection isn't just about you going out and protecting me from someone physically harming me. It's, am I safe? We talk about having a man having peace. Women need peace too.
girl. I was up here thinking the same thing.
They need peace. They need peace because we out here wearing the cape.
Protect her peace.
And something that I think that a lot of black men fail to realize is that you're not the only person. You're not the only one in the black community experiencing racism. Every day we go out, we are fighting some of the same battles that you are. And see, it's different, the pressure that we get versus the pressure you get. See, we a threat to other women, right? No
Mm-hmm.
matter what, you can come in and be killing it, but you a threat to women that are mediocre and not doing the best, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then you have to worry about that you can't shine, you can't be too much of nothing, because if you do, you're going to be looked at a particular way. One of the things that I have always had to be conscious of is being a black dark skinned woman.
Mm.
I don't have the space to be passionate. If I'm passionate or emotional, or I
You a
get
little too
angry about it,
saucy, a little too sassy, a
listen
little
now,
too angry.
you have to be careful, right? But we have to constantly walk on eggshells too. Just
Mm.
like you're walking on eggshells once you leave the house, we're walking on eggshells once we leave the house. And what sucks is that we're walking on eggshells from everybody, from even you. So you don't have to worry about walking on eggshells with us as much. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but
Just
as
as
much. But we are walking on eggshells against the entire world. Everybody here feels like a threat. Everybody here feels scary because of the things that we have to go through and endure. So when we say we don't need protection, or we don't get protection and we need protection, we even need protection in, I had a rough day. I came in and I had to deal with that racism today. I had to be belittled today because I'm black and I'm a woman. I had to do the emotional labor in keeping a poker face, although really someone did something to me that hurt me so deeply and it was so out of line, but I couldn't get too upset, because if I did, like, all of that stuff takes fortitude, it takes
mm-hmm.
strength. And so when we come in, we're tired just like you, but then we have to tend to the kids, We have to tend to the house. We have to tend to the
Cook dinner.
parents. We got to tend to all of these things. And
And
so,
we are most of the time fall off the plate.
listen, listen. And so,
Mhm.
when Black women are saying they feel unprotected, they feel so unprotected. And what is happening is a resentment, disdain for Black men. We are getting further and further apart from loving each other and accepting each other.
Mm.
Black women are impatient, rightfully so. I'm not saying y'all wrong because y'all done had a goddamn enough, and that's okay. That you done had
I'm
enough.
tired conversation.
Listen, I'm so tired. I'm sick and tired, right? And so we say this knowing that you have a lot of validity in why you feel this disdain, this resentment, right? But what
Mhm.
are we going to do about it? Because what's happening now is less and less family structure, less and less communication, more arguing. You have more division, right? And that's the best way to conquer is that you divide and conquer. So if we get further against each other and we're not working together with each other, like that's half the battle. We are already a small number. Then how much so once we are divided also. And
I
so
mean, even when you look at the Willie Lynch letter, whether you think it's real or not, I think it shows points where we have been divided, turning young
mhm.
against the old, the men against the women, the light against the dark. All of these things still exist to this day. And to another point is, as women, Black women specifically, we get the strong Black woman title. So a lot of times when the men are not being as supportive when it comes to household things or family things or just you need some personal time things or the kids or whatever it may be, or not showing up, even providing financially, is, oh, she got it.
She could do it.
She could do it. She
She
got
used
it.
to
She don't
doing
need no
that.
help. She don't
She
need a
used
hug
to.
today. She
Mm-hmm.
don't need no back rub. She got it. She do. That's what she do. She's strong Black woman. She's superwoman. And that's just a given, right? To Black men. They like, she got it. She good. I'm talking about whether it's somebody mama, wife, sisters, aunties, they got it. They good. And yes, we are strong, but we should not break our backs. We should not have to be as strong as society, including Black men, has. We have to be. That's a have to. We do it because we have to. Because if we don't, the whole freaking world would fall apart.
It's about survivorship. Like that's how we survive. And
But in a
we
space
shouldn't
of
have to.
luxury, we should not have to.
We shouldn't have
And the
to.
way you were describing it, if we would come together and understand we have similar hurts, we have similar oppressions, we have similar love, like we have similar a lot of things. If we have true conversations and understanding on where we're coming from, we
Mm.
can be a united force, stronger and better together. But those things come from a place of healing, a place of being healed in certain areas where we can have these real conversations, where we can explore deeper places within not only ourselves, but in our partners, where we can show vulnerability. And that's some place where people who've been married for 30, 40 years sometimes can't tap into because they're not healed enough or actively working towards their healing to be able to have these conversations that you need to have in a relationship.
But I also want to make sure that we're not, because I think that we talk a lot about us doing the healing work, right? Individually and working on ourselves. And that is absolutely your responsibility. Nobody else
Okay.
can do the healing work for you. But that isn't enough. So we can be healed all day, but it doesn't mean we can't get re-injured, right? You don't get an injury and then once it closes up, you're impervious to any sort of injuries after that. Like that's not right. You're not like, you know, the made of steel after that, and like you don't have Wolverine powers where you just naturally heal after that. Like you still have the potential to be injured again. So it's not enough just to put it off and say you do your healing work. We need to start doing some self-reflection and some accountability
Yeah.
on how we can stop injuring others. Like we
Hmm.
need to start putting in the effort not to hurt each other. And that is super important. It's not enough just to say, okay, girl, go over there and deal with your shit and then come back and we all get together. Like, we all need to make a decision and a commitment to do better to
Yeah.
each and every other person. And that when we're doing our healing, that we're also learning from it and practicing empathy. I feel like more than anything, what we've lost, more than love, more than trust, is empathy. We have stopped being able to see the other person's perspective and to
Mhm.
understand that you're a human being too. And because we have lost that ability to see each other as human because we've been so in the state of trauma, black women are in a state of trauma. So
We are.
when we feel like a black woman's not being accountable, for those men that love to say that out there, that it's impossible to hold a black woman accountable. Are you holding yourself accountable? So stop being
Mhm.
worried about if you get to hold her accountable. Are you holding yourself accountable? Because if we start holding ourselves accountable, then all of that will filter into everything else. It's like, don't try to take away from the fact that you actually did something to hurt this lady, that you actually did something to hurt her. I need you to be honest with yourself. And when she comes to you and says, you did this and it made me feel this way, or I didn't feel this way, I
Right.
need you to say, in empathy and love and care and appreciation and understanding, I hear you. How can I do better? What can I do to not make that misstep again? Because I don't want to hurt you. I think we've gotten real comfortable with the tit for tat. I think we've gotten real comfortable with I gotta get back at you or just the shut off. And so if you really want to also like help with the protection of black women, start holding yourself accountable and start recognizing when you've lost your empathy, when you've lost the fact that she looks like your mother. What if it was your mom that somebody did this to?
You be ready to fight.
You be ready to fight. What if it was your daughter? Back to your statement earlier when we like, not my child, because if that was my child, well, that need to be your child. Well, that need to be your mother because that's somebody's mother. That's somebody's wife. That's somebody's sister. That's somebody's cousin. That's somebody's daughter.
That's somebody.
That's somebody. That
That's
is
a
somebody.
person. I think that's what we also all have to get to as well. Just respecting life and humanity and other people. We all have feelings. Everybody's emotional level is different, but at the end of the day, we are all human beings, sentient creatures. We have feelings. We feel pain. We feel hurt. We feel joy. We feel happiness. All of that. And with that, if we just took each day and each person that we interacted with and came to them in kindness and love and look, what they say, treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
If you don't want nobody treating you some type of way, hitting you upside your head, looking at you crazy, then why would you do that to somebody else?
Yes. Facts. Facts. Yeah, we got to do better. We have to do better. And I am hurting to see my fellow Black women feel so unprotected, feel so unloved, feel so uncared for, not feel safe. Like, that's a hard life to not feel safe with anybody.
And
Like,
it affects everyone that she affects.
that
So if
she's
you
in
have a
contact
black
with.
woman that does not feel loved or protected, her self-esteem is going to be down because
Mhm.
some people attach that to their value. So it's like, if I don't deserve to be protected by the men in my life or any man, especially a black man, then what's my worth? Some
Yeah.
people take it that way. So if you have low self-esteem now and you don't feel protected and you feel vulnerable and you're maybe depressed now and you have children, now how are you interacting with your children? And you have a daughter or you have a son, because it can go either way. Now how are you training them or impacting them, or what things are you carrying on and passing and planting into them? This is why it's so important to take a black woman, protect her, love her, nurture her, because she multiplies. A lot of people be like, man, they plant the seeds and the seed, but the women nurture those seeds. How you nurture a seed will determine the life of that plant.
Mm-hmm. From the beginning, right? Because like you give your seed, but then we grow it. We have to grow it, so it's growing in us. Everything we feel, every pain we feel, gets embedded in their DNA.
Trauma
And
in the
that's the thing that
DNA.
people don't realize, that trauma literally stamps a person's DNA. I think we had a show where we talked about how I got to a point where I recognized some of my trauma I hadn't actually gone through. Like I hadn't
Mm-hmm.
experienced that, but I had this real like emotion from something, from an experience that was never mine. And so
Right.
sometimes we're not understanding that the things we feel stamps into our kids. Personality traits are not all environmental. Some of them are
They
literally
come that
passed
way.
down. When you just like your dad, you act just like your mama, you sound like your mother, right? It's like, so we can wrap our minds around every other thing being transferred to our offspring, except for that. So if your seed is being fostered in a womb that feels unprotected, so
Mm-hmm.
that lady's feeling depressed. She's feeling unloved. She's worried about what the future or the state of this baby is
Or
going to be once they get
stress.
here. They're
She still
stressed.
gotta work or
You
whatever it
still
may
got
be.
to do all of this stuff, right? So then all of that is being stamped onto your child's DNA. So when
Mm-hmm.
that baby comes here, they're already equipped with somebody else's trauma. And so we need to do better, because when we wondering why these kids don't care about nothing no more, now I'm here to tell you, because I've seen a lot of kids that have been brought up the right way, if there was a such thing. So I'm gonna put that in quotes, because everybody's right way is different. But
Right.
that were brought up in homes where their parents literally tried to steer them on the right path, give them the tools necessary to be respectful. They were brought up in love, they were brought up in care, and they still going out here doing things that they should
Mhm.
be doing. And we ask ourselves, well, why is that? Well, what kind of things were you around while you were pregnant? What kind of things did that mother have to deal with, or was she seeing or being a witness to, while they were in the womb, while they were having these experiences? What type of trauma did she have in her life while, before or while she was pregnant? Because all of
And
that
that's
stuff gets
inside and
embedded
outside the womb.
in and
Like
outside.
and outside. So I really want men, because I don't think men, but women too. I don't think we think about it either. Men and women need to think about that. If all of these emotions are happening, because some women are very unprotected, are very stressed out. Depending on the situation around the pregnancy, of the father, of the situation, of finances, or whatever it may be. That's embedded in your child, right? If you are in a situation where, for you're in a relationship, a healthy relationship or whatever, man, you got to step up when that woman pregnant. You got to step up in general, but you
Mhm.
got to step up. You got to make sure she knows she's supported. You need to make sure she's eating, drinking water, taking breaks, rubbing feet. And it's not just because, oh, we are women, we should be pampered. It's because she's carrying a whole human being. I think we're so conditioned to it now because it just happens, that people get pregnant, they had kids every day, literally, that it's like, oh, but that's literally, doctors can't even figure it out. Science, medicine, magic, okay, where our bodies just naturally know exactly what it needs to do for the most part to a baby to grow, a whole person to grow inside of us, and we really ain't got to do nothing. But our body chemistry is changing, our mental chemistry is changing, everything, our bodies are changing, everything is changing, and we're carrying a whole person.
Can you
Don't take that
imagine?
lightly.
Because like I think people alone should have the respect for the multitasking that takes in growing a life, because like you still operate, right? Like some people can't walk and chew bubble gum, but when we're having babies, we're literally growing and fostering and cultivating a whole nother
A whole
human being
person.
in the body, right? So our brain, our heart, everything that makes us is doing extra stuff that it doesn't normally do to
Right.
compensate for these new lives or new life that's in there, right?
Let
And then
alone
you
birthing the baby.
listen, and then you still going to work, you still keeping the house, you still raising the other kids that may be here already, you
Right. And
still,
still
you
take care of
know,
your husband if they
you
there or
still
whoever else.
doing right. So the multitasking that it takes for a woman to be able to do that while creating a life should
Mm-hmm.
have some level of just respect that I feel like is being lost a lot within here. And we need to figure out how to get back to that, because also that is the standard that you're going to set for that life when it comes out here. When
Mm-hmm.
you talk about, I remember being pregnant both times. When I was pregnant with my daughter, people, and I was telling people that she was a girl, people were like, oh, girls are so hard. Oh my gosh, you got to worry about this, and this, and the third. And I never understood that, because I was like, having a child, period, is
It's
hard.
hard.
But
Right.
even hearing that, even that child hears that. For y'all that don't know, the baby can hear in the fourth to fifth month of pregnancy. They can hear everything that's going. So not only are they feeling what she's feeling, they're hearing what she's hearing. They're hearing whatever is in her environment. And those things
Let
are,
alone eating and drinking.
listen, that's a whole nother story about what we eat, drinking. But you catch my drift, and we just really need to understand that and take into account that that unprotection is even being passed down while the baby is not even here yet. We're putting that, embedding that into their understanding, into their safety. That so when they come out, they ain't gonna feel so safe in certain environments. And so we just really need to hear when women are saying, I don't feel protected.
Yeah.
We're not dogging you. What happened to just being like, damn, I don't want that for you. You shouldn't feel that way. That should be a sense of urgency. And
Yeah.
protection is a human thing. It shouldn't mean that I have to be bowing down to you. I shouldn't have to be less than you to get that protection, because Black women protect Black men too.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to battle and we're protecting you too.
In a
You're
many of
not,
ways.
in a many of ways, in a many of ways. And so I really think that if we're going to get better as a community, we need to hear that first. When the next time that you hear a Black woman in your life say, I don't feel protected, or Black women are so unprotected, do what Miss Natalie Battle's favorite thing is to do. Go ahead, hit them, sis.
But why? Why is it?
But why?
To elaborate.
Why don't you feel protected? What do you need to feel protected? And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if when a Black woman is watered properly, when she is watered properly.
Come on.
Now
Nourishment.
we're not gonna pretend like there ain't some questionables out in the world. There are some
Everywhere.
women that are just
Vegetables.
mean. They are just questionable. So,
Mhm.
we're not going to say all women are perfect. Nobody's perfect, right?
But
But
then
I'm
also, you got to, but why that too? Why she
well,
me?
listen, the same some people are just bad. Now, some people just got some things. Now, we just need to be honest. It
No,
don't
that's
matter.
true. That's true
Some
fact.
some people are just
Some people are the wise though.
some people are but wise. But
And
there's a
some people
whole
just
lot of
came here
people
the way they came.
There's a whole lot of people are just, but no, thank yous. Okay,
Yes,
so
God. Yes,
that's
God.
just, but no.
Yes, God.
But if we're really looking at it, if we're really looking to understand and to be better, we will see that there is a why. Of something I like to throw out when I hear the whole Black women should feel protected, and that's not the case, and I'll be like, 1 in 5. What is that? 1 in 5 Black women have been sexually assaulted or has experienced some sort of sexual violence in their life. 1 in 5. So that means for every 5 women in your family, at least one of them has experienced that. And for some of y'all, it's going to be more than just that 1 in 5. It's going to be several. So when you start asking that, when you start listening to yourself, the next time you as a man, as a black man, get ready to tell your daughter that you don't want her dating because you know what boys be thinking and you know how men act and you know how boys act. That's why she's not protected. So you're admitting that they don't protect them, that your daughter is unprotected outside of your grasp, that the world is unsafe for her. So then when she says, I don't feel unprotected, it doesn't always mean that it's you. We need to stop taking that personal.
Get out your feelings.
One of Natalie's favorite things and principles from the five agreements,
Not
right?
about
The
you.
4 agreements is that it ain't about you.
Don't take it
You may
personal.
be doing your part to safeguard, to take care of, and protect. We know some amazing brothers. One of our honorary co-hosts that he still don't want to take the title, but you know, Dre, great brother. Just this weekend, him and his brothers was out there protecting women in the community, standing on corners, going to gas stations, trying to patrol to provide safety. So there are some men out here really absolutely doing their part to provide protection, but there are a lot more that aren't. So when she is saying, I am unprotected, stop making it about you
Mm-hmm.
and just listen. Make her feel safe then. You
In
be the
that
brother
moment, because
in that
in that
moment.
moment, when you belittle her or go the opposite way, you're making her feel unsafe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're proving the point.
I mean, just the example of saying, "Well, why don't you feel unsafe?" makes me feel safe. It's like, oh, you care. Let me tell you how and why I
Yeah.
feel unsafe.
Because that's
You're
really
changing the
sometimes all that's
energy
needed.
there.
It's that's all that's needed. I need to feel her. I need to feel like I'm not being gaslit or I'm not being made to be invalidated. Like I feel unprotected.
Or feel crazy. Like when men do that, when men, I need you to understand, this may not be your intention. You may truly just be in your feelings. But when you go off the wall and off the deep end, like, what you mean you don't feel protected? Blah, blah, blah. One, you make her feel unprotected. But then two, you are solidifying that she is crazy. Because she is clearly making all this up. If
She's
you
not.
can't see how she doesn't feel protected, you basically calling her crazy. So I'm just out here feeling this way for no reason, right? I'm crazy. I'm boo boo the fool out here. So I'm just super protected, sold up, and I'm just making up these feelings. It's basically what you're saying. So you making her feel unprotected and crazy.
Which brings us back to the original comment and question is who protects me when I need protection against you? When you're the threat, who protects me when the threat is you? Back to the whole police officers. Like we are like, who do we call when we're afraid of the police? Who polices the police, right?
Right. Do you call
Who
the police on
who
the police?
and it's the same thing for us in the community. So we have been trying to keep these conversations to an hour. I would love to keep expounding on this, but I do recognize that if y'all like me, my week is really already screwed all the way up because it's my hour and I want it back now.
It's my hour now.
And I need it now. I like the spring forward throws me off every single time. I kid you not. I'm messed all the way up this week. I'm so discombobulated. I had to take a day off work today just because I was like, I am not right. That 1 hour hit, because you know, your body gets its own internal clock. So I
Yeah.
run on a schedule. Like literally, my body has its own schedule. So I've been all screwed up. So if you're like me, where the struggle has been absolutely real this week, I want you all to
So
take
take a
away.
breath.
Yes, take away what we're saying here today and hear us when we say we don't feel unprotected is the truth. And if you want to stop hearing that, then start asking, but why?
And then doing something about those
And
blue
then
eyes.
something about the but whys. Closing thoughts, Nat. Oh, before we hop off. Announcement. Oh, we gonna talk will be bi-weekly from here on out. We will be doing every other Wednesday at 8 p.m. This is so that I can really make sure I'm spending a lot of time being very focused on content. We want to make sure that when you are logging on with us and you're listening, you're actually walking away with something from these conversations. And I'm hoping to really start having these conversations with real people. We want you on here if you feel comfortable talking on this platform. We don't want to just sit up here and talk at y'all for a whole hour. Like, the whole thing is about having a conversation. We want to have a conversation. We want to figure out how we can become to understand one another and move forward. And we will be doing the back end of this. And because we try never to speak from a place of inexperience when it comes to, oh, we gonna talk. Hopefully, I'll have some men join us on why they feel
Come on, men, folks.
because we want to make sure that we are always trying to practice equilibrium. It's not to invalidate or negate one person's feelings over the other, but just to make it be known that we all kind of struggling with the same stuff and we just can't hear each other. So maybe we can fix that. We can resolve that. So we'll be back in 2 weeks from today for our man portion on why Black men may feel unprotected. And so we can really kind of hold ourselves accountable, right? Because
Come
we
on, check me, brother.
look, listen, we can't be talking about some, let me hold you accountable, but you can't tell me nothing. So, it's a two-way street.
I
So
be taking
closing
notes. I be like, let
out,
me know.
listen, let me
What
figure
can I do?
this. Let me do better with this. So, sis, what are your closing thoughts on why Black women feel unprotected?
Why do Black women feel unprotected? Because we are.
Mm,
We feel that way because we are. When we look at society, I remember. I don't remember how old I was. I don't remember the day or what the color I was wearing. I don't remember none of that. But I remember the feeling when I realized that everything that I am, society hates. I remember having that moment in that conversation with myself. Um, being a woman.
hmm.
When did we just get the right to vote? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's we still not we ain't got equal pay. Baby girl locked up in Russia right now because she had to go overseas to play basketball because they paying her pennies over here and they pay more over there. And now she locked up in a Russian jail. You know what I'm saying?
From what I understand, missing. I just saw something earlier today that she's missing. They don't know where she's at unless there was a
Has no contact. They won't let her speak to the US. They trying to lock her up for 10 years for some vape cartridges. Like, but the only reason why she was over there to begin with is because they pay more money for women basketball over there than they do over here in this country. But either way it goes, universally, majority of the world, if you're a woman, you're less than, right? And oh, America, honey, listen. So when I realized that, then on top of being a woman, I'm Black. Mixed in there some Native American. And I'm like, everything, literally, my being offends people. Just me being alive.
Yeah.
I feel unprotected. And so with that, I would like men to understand that women are making very valid points on why they feel unprotected. And instead of getting upset and making it a competition, well, I feel unprotected too, because I'm not saying you don't, brother. I'm just saying me right now, I'm letting you know that I don't because X, Y, and Z. Instead of getting upset or in your feelings and letting your trauma come up, have a conversation. Hear that woman out. Ask the but whys and then actually change your behavior afterwards. If it's things that you are personally doing, hear her. Change your behavior. If it's things that other men are doing in your presence that you can correct your friends. Help protect not only that woman who told you, but every other woman moving forward. We have to take notes and check ourselves. If we can't do that, then we can't flourish as individuals or collectively.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I'm excited for these brothers to come on here. I need to know if I'm part of the problem, so
Listen,
I
and
can become part
sometimes
of the
we are.
solution.
Sometimes we're not perfect.
Nobody
Like
is.
we fall short too, and we don't always get it right. And I think that there's this narrative that we don't like to admit that, and we don't, take accountability. That's a lie. I find a lot
Yes,
more women that are holding up, at least holding each other accountable.
oh, I check my friends.
I remember like my brother was telling me like women just care too much and they be in each other's business way too much. Like it's not your place. That's a grown woman, and if she this and that, and that's what's wrong. That's why girls can't stay friends. Well, no, if I have to be your yes man,
Then we can't be friends.
then we can't be friends.
I'm
Like that
friends another
is
one, 'cause
me
that ain't
being
me.
accountable. Like when we're saying, "Oh wait a minute, sis, that ain't right." Like that's not cool. We're not gonna do that. That's us holding each other accountable. I've had friends be completely mad because I could be the accountability police officer. Like I be like, I don't know about that. I can be that sometimes, but that's because we really genuinely want to be better, right? And so we just need to apply that and keep that same energy elsewhere. But we fall short too. No matter how much we hold each other accountable,
We
we
all
still
do.
make we all do. So we
And
want
it
to hear
checks
from
and
your side.
balances. It's like
Checks
you
and balances.
need to know when you're doing something wrong, because sometimes in the moment we can't see what we're doing wrong
Facts.
because we're too close to the situation or whatever. So sometimes you need an outside opinion and say, well, last week somebody so and so did this and you reacted the same way. And now you mad because so and so reacted the way you reacted last week. And now you like, oh, dang, that did happen.
That
Maybe
did
I need
happen.
to have a little more grace. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you need perspective. And so this is a woman's perspective. This is a woman saying, hey, I feel unprotected. Hear that woman out and then change your behavior. Don't just listen. Listen and then change your behavior moving forward.
And be better. Facts. All facts is, and I couldn't agree more about that. Like it's more than just here, but then do better, make change, be different, and hold each other accountable and committed to that change. And my closing thought when it comes to Black women feeling unprotected is that they absolutely are. Period. They are absolutely unprotected because protection just isn't keeping them physically from harm. You need to be protecting them mentally, emotionally,
Yes.
spiritually,
Yes.
okay? And they are raising your kids. So you don't want someone feeling unprotected with such an important job because they're going to raise those babies in that unprotection as well. And if we're going to see the generations to come be better, we need to start now. We need to start showing a strong system of protection and community. And we don't have that right now. And there is no community without Black women. So when they're saying they don't feel protected, listen, like my sis said, do better, and then commit to enlightening others, holding everybody else accountable
Spread the
around.
word. Spread the
Don't be
gospel.
complicit, right? Don't be knowing that your buddy is out here disrespecting and harming women, and then you say nothing because it's your friend and you just turn a blind eye and it's like, well, I don't do it. Like, no, that's not protection. You're part of the problem. So we want to make sure that not only are we changing what we do, that we're holding others around us accountable for what they do too, and we're not being accomplices in that behavior. I was so glad to have this conversation with you all. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Join us in
Yes.
2
And shout
weeks.
out to Anika, baby. She was in these comments. Yes, sir.
Yes, Anika.
Yes,
Anika, no, like
sir.
when I say I love me some Anika, I know she know I love her, but any opportunity I get to say it, I do because we should all say we love each other often. But that Mrs. Anika Sterling Flores, okay,
Come on,
like
full name, full name.
when I
So
tell
we
you
know it's real.
when I tell you that she is just, I mean, even before I've been knowing Miss Anika for a long time. And when I say she's always had my back, she's always had my back. And I love her to pieces. You know, I love you, Anika. I
Oh.
love her so much. She's just
Hearts all the way
incredible.
around.
I'm telling you, and she's always supportive and always got us, here. So we love you. We appreciate you, Anika, and everybody else that joined us, because those numbers
Oh,
was going
yeah.
up and down. We love y'all because y'all don't have to listen to us. We just be on here talking, but y'all
Because,
come
oh, we
around
going
listen.
to talk.
But you listen to what we say. So we love y'all too. But y'all be safe out there. It looks like spring is upon us. Knock on table. I try not to get too excited, but I saw some tree buds today. So when the trees start budding,
Won't he do it?
I start feeling hopeful.
Won't
When
he?
the trees have buds, I'm like, we out the woods. So I've seen a couple trees that had some tree buds today.
Won't he?
So
Listen, I still walked out the house with my whole winter coat today. You hear me
yeah,
talking?
I was doing that the
I
other
had to take it
day.
off because I was hotter than that thing, but I had it over my arm all day.
That's why today I had this on
I'm
and
like,
a,
won't get
a
me,
jean
Chicago.
jacket. Listen, and I normally be like that. One day I still had my scarf and stuff on. I almost fainted, and I was like, "This ain't good.
Not today.
I'm not today." I've almost fainted. My whole shirt was soaking wet from sweat. I was like, "I gotta adjust." I don't. I know I'm trying to be safe out in these streets, but I was too safe. There's such thing as being too safe. I need to take off some of them clothes, but.
Oh, and
Thank
I got some
you.
announcements
Oh,
real
wait.
quick.
Go ahead with the
Real quick
announcements before we hop out.
announcements. Okay. It's Women's History Month, so let me do a quick roll call. Okay. I just want to shout out. I shared it to the page, but I need to say it because I'm going to say it on all platforms to my sister Carlisa Nicole Thomas. Okay. My sister, our guest here on Oh We Gonna Talk and caterer, event planner, bartender, and dessert extraordinaire,
I still
Carlisa
need some
Thomas,
cookies.
baby. The Purple Ribbon Chef, sis was honored out of all of Cook County, all of the cook of the county, as an unsung hero of Cook County. So shout out to sis. We're super proud of you. You did your thing. We glad to know you. Okay, out of all
Yes,
the Cook
Carlisa.
County. That's one shout out. Okay. Shout out number two. I'm shouting out myself. Okay. Come through, Natalie Battles. All right. Come through. The very next day after Carlisa was honored, I was honored that Friday as one of Chicago's women in film. You
You
feel me?
told me about Into Too Late, so I couldn't come.
I'm sorry. I know.
Mm-hmm. Go
I
ahead. Uh-huh.
But it went really
Mhm.
well, and so
Mhm.
I just want to shout that out. I'm really excited. And then the last shout out, real quick, real swift, is Melanated in America. Okay, we got the Melanated in America exhibition coming with the fine art for you folks. It opens next week on Saturday on the 26th. Social media will be dropping this evening for the flyer, event page, and everything else, but it will be dropping this upcoming week on the Saturday of 26th of March. Be there. It's going to be at the Joby Art Center. It's going to be some amazing art. The artists will be there. We'll have some drinks. It's going to be real nice. And we'll be having a multitude of events to go along with it. We'll have an open mic. I'm looking at you, sis. We're gonna have an open mic. Hopefully, Miss Sante gonna come through and bless the mic. We are definitely gonna have a film screening. The sip props are starting back up, y'all. BYB
Wait.
nights.
So yes, I'm right, but you must don't know that I'm still trying to work on that whole performing and in front of people. Because when Erica Badu was like, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Like that is me. I be like,
I
hey,
said what I said.
oh, okay.
Y'all DM her inbox and slide in them comments and let her know she needs to bless this mic. Okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, we got a host of events coming up to coincide with the exhibition and the drop of Melanated in America, the series.
Yes. I'm like, what's going on with
Melanated
the
in America,
show?
the series. Will be dropping this spring as well. So we are coming through for the spring and the summer for y'all who are melanated in America. Okay. I'm done.
All right. Well, there's a whole lot coming up, y'all. So go and rewatch this video so you can get all that and write it down. Or at least rewatch the end so y'all can make sure y'all show up. Okay. We love y'all. Good night. Everybody stay safe. Peace out, y'all. Peace up. A-Town down. Oh, look,